Hear me when I say God will not bail you out of a bad trade or a bad relationship. And maybe that sounds like God is a little indifferent to the pain in your heart or in your wallet, but it's still the truth. Listen, you can fast for 50 days and not consume anything but dust. And you can pray on your knees until they are bloody red, and God still won't bail you out of a bad trade or a bad relationship. Why? There are two reasons. One, God gave us free will, and God will not override that freedom. So this means that all of your conscious choices and decisions must stand. The other reason God won't bail you out of a bad trade or a bad relationship is because God is more interested in us growing and developing as a result of our emotional and financial pain than releasing us from that emotional and financial pain. You see, emotional pain of the heart and the wallet gets our attention, and it alerts us to the fact that we made some missteps somewhere, and God will not take that growth opportunity away from us. Growing into the best versions of ourselves is God's divine priority because it is the only way we can fully live out our potential and our purpose. And if that means we have to experience some pain and discomfort, God will allow it. Listen, if God allowed Jesus to suffer for a greater good, God will allow you to do the same. Now, I hope you hear the difference between me saying God will allow it and God put the pain on you. No, God does not have evil intentions towards us, and God is never looking to set us up to experience pain. We do enough of that on our own. But God will allow your free will and choice to set you up to experience pain. But remember this, God can work the pain for your good, like it says in Romans 8:28. So God is not celebrating or happy when you experience losing money or a loss of love, but God is celebrating the possibility that the end result will be a stronger, better, wiser, more resilient you. So in this video, I'm going to share with you how we get into bad trades and bad relationships in the first place and how to avoid doing so we won't need God to bail us out. Listen, I say all the time that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it's no different when it comes to love and money. So if you find yourself repeatedly asking God to deliver you from a bad trade or a bad relationship, I'm going to share with you the top 3 questions you need to ask yourself instead. But first, if you are new here, I'm Vanetta, and you are watching Faith, Love, and Trading, where I talk about the intersections of financial prosperity and personal growth, especially as it relates to trading. You see, trading is 10% technical, but it is 90% psychological, which means making money in the market and securing the bag are directly related to how secure you are mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So if you are interested in growing your net worth and your self-worth in a way that also speaks to faith and spirituality, you found the right channel. Because here I talk about how your psychology and how your psyche and your mindset and your beliefs are the real secret sauce to financial freedom and personal growth. So hit the subscribe button and let's stay connected. Now, let's jump into the 3 questions you need to ask yourself when it comes to getting into a bad trade or a bad relationship, so you don't need to ask God to bail you out. And the first question you need to ask yourself is, did you do your due diligence? Whether it's in a trade or a relationship, you need to ask yourself if you did the groundwork before you jumped in. Listen, take it from me. I have been burned by getting into a bad trade and a relationship prematurely. When it came to trading, I used to get into a trade before my setup was fully formed. And the result would always be the same, a loss, and sometimes a painful loss. And this was because of my projected belief. I saw and believed what I wanted to see and believe, and it would always result in a loss. But you know what? because I always say how I do one thing is how I do everything, I realized that I was doing the same thing in relationships. I prematurely got into a relationship before I properly vetted the person because of my projected belief and seeing what I wanted to see. So if you do this, you don't need God to bail you out of a bad trade or a bad relationship. You need to do the necessary groundwork before you jump in. Listen, there are life lessons in trading. There are correlations between how we do life and how we trade. This is why experts say that trading is 10% technical and 90% psychological. Trading has taught me so much about myself, which is why I believe God led me to trade in the first place. It's not just about earning money. It's about learning myself. And God is using trading to help me make meaningful connections between my emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being. The money I earn in trading is just an added bonus. So the first question you should ask yourself is, did you do the groundwork before you jump into the trade or the relationship? Now, the second question you need to ask yourself when you find yourself either in a bad trade or a bad relationship is, where else in my life am I seeing signs of the same behavior? For example, if you are in a bad trade, but you are just hoping and believing it's just going to turn around, so you stay in the trade, even though you are losing money, you need to ask yourself, where else do I do this? In what other areas of my life do I sit in painful situations waiting for it to turn around? Ask yourself, do you have a high tolerance for pain? And I am doing a whole video on how to heal from having a high tolerance for pain, so stay tuned for that. But right here, I'm asking you, if you sit in a bad trade hoping against hope that it's just going to magically get better, you're likely doing it in relationships too. And if you sit in bad trades and relationships, you're not alone, especially if you are a person of faith. See, I firmly believe that bad theology taught many of us to misuse faith. We were taught to hope against hope and believe that dying things can live if we have enough faith. But I don't believe that anymore. You have to let some things die or they will kill you financially or romantically. Save your heart and your wallet and stop tolerating what's painful. Listen, if a certain kind of emotional behavior is showing up in your trading, it's likely showing up in other areas of your life, and vice versa. If a certain kind of emotional behavior is showing up in your personal life and in your relationships, it's going to, without a doubt, show up in your trading. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. But the good news is, how you heal one thing is how you heal everything. So ask yourself, where else is this behavior showing up in your life? The third and final question you should ask yourself when you find yourself asking God to bail you out of a bad trade or a bad relationship is, what is this experience trying to teach me about myself? Listen, as a woman of faith, I believe God is always trying to teach us something that will cause us to grow into the best versions of ourselves. And as I said earlier, nothing gets our attention and provides opportunity for that growth like pain from a loss of money or pain from a loss of love. So while you are experiencing financial loss due to a trade or relationship, a helpful thing to find out is, what can I learn from the loss or the pain? Listen, nothing is wasted, not even pain. Pain is a teacher, but pain is the kind of teacher that always wants to leave you with a gift. Pain is like one of your older, wiser aunties who always gives you the truth in love. And you know that truth is going to hurt, but after she shares the truth, you are so grateful for the experience because you learned so much. That's what processed pain will do for you. So instead of asking God to bail you out, whether it's a bad trade or a bad relationship, get the fruit from the lesson. But to get the fruit, you will have to deal with and face the discomfort, the loss, and the pain. You have to face the hard truth. And if you're willing to do that, you can grow. Now, as I said earlier, growth and development is God's divine goal for our lives. And if you have to experience some pain, some loss, and some discomfort to grow into the best version of yourself, it's a small price to pay. Listen, when it comes to growing your finances, your faith, or personal growth, you have to be willing to ask yourself some hard questions. And you may not like the answers, because hard questions often expose that there is something we need to fix or change within ourselves. You see, too often we blame others for our pain and our loss, but looking within is how we experience exponential growth. So for me, I'm always asking myself hard questions because I want to grow into the best version of myself. I want to grow in my faith, in my finances, and in my relationships. And if you do too, ask yourself, when you experience bad trades or bad relationships, did you do the groundwork before you jumped in? What other areas of your life do you see similarities? And ask yourself, what did this experience come to teach me? Listen, if you ask yourself these 3 questions when it comes to trading and relationships, it will become less and less necessary for you to ask God to bail you out. Now, I hope this video was helpful. Please let me know in the comments if it was. More specifically, let me know what your trading journey is teaching you about yourself that you didn't realize before. I want to hear all about your trading journey and how it is causing you to grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So please, please, please leave me a comment below. Now, do me one last favor. Share this video and this channel with someone who might need this kind of support. And thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time on Faith, Love, and Trading.